himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nuoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the down pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah,
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching.
Dear.
The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Standing out from the crowd is a challenge. You have the passion, courage, and ambition to do something extraordinary. You have an awesome story to tell and a wonderful vision to share with the world. At Eddie Videos, we take that vision and turn it into reality so you can be heard above the rest. You need something different, and we give you the ultimate advantage. We can help you transform your ideas, images, and clips into a professional video that brings your message to life and sets a new bar for excellence. Visuals, voiceovers, editing, animations, whatever you need, we've got it all. If you're a new business looking to make your mark or an experienced company searching for something new and amazing, we're here to help. Trust us to take your video to amazing levels of awesomeness.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good evening and welcome to the Radical Race Series Round 7, Season 3, live from the Silverstone GP circuit. I'm James Parfitt, and tonight we've got no Ewan O'Leary. He's enjoying the sun in Saudi Arabia currently at the moment, but I do have the one, the only, the great Mr. Alex Goldschmidt alongside me this evening, as well as we tackle this iconic circuit, 5.8 kilometers in length here, and 18 corners of absolute epic racing. Historic would not be the word as we come to Silverstone. It is iconic, it is amazing, it is stooped in some incredible history. But here are the current championship standards. We have got Simon Edwards on 185 points, John McHutchinson on 182, Luke Maxwell on 163, with Mike Bousson in fourth there on 150. Then we've got George Gonzaga on 137, Paul LeMay on 136 in sixth, Jamie Bird in seventh on 131, and Seth Brown in eighth on 126. Colin Wynn in ninth on 119, with Damien G in 10th on 112. Then below that we've got Robert Woodward, Darrell Taylor, Paul Godden, Michael LeMay, David Rolleston, Wayne Palmer, Phil Jocelyn, David Beasley is down there as well in 18th, Phil Glover, Sergio Dela Cruz, James Child, Graham Brown, Chris Max Davis, Paul Crabb, James Berry, Martina Ward, Tim Adcock and Eric Brawley. And then on from that we've got Scott Lear, Ben Underdown, Dan Webster and Paul Clark. We've still got no Paul Clark. He's still jetting off around Europe, following Bruce Springsteen ears across his European tour. But you've listened to me waffle on. You don't want to hear me all night. Let's bring in Mr. Alex Goldschmidt into the booth alongside me. Alex, good evening. Pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to be alongside you, James. Good evening, everybody. Yes, another superlative to describe the home of British motorsport. Legendary. It is steeped in motorsport folklore. Of course, there are a couple of absentees. Earlier on today, Paul LeMay has decided to not race for the rest of the season. His elbow pain has really become too much for him at the moment. So we wish Paul all the very best. He's looking forward to watching some racing here tonight. And also Damien Guy is currently on his way to Spa-Francorchamps to enjoy the Formula One. So Paul, Damien, thank you very much for keeping us all updated. But yes, this circuit has been around since 1948. Visited it a bunch of times. I've commentated it a couple of times as well. It is a circuit that is really going to test all our Radical Race Series drivers tonight. Fast flowing. You've got to have cojones. You really have got to have cojones. I mean, especially going through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel here, James. The fastest triple apex in modern day motorsport. And, going through even at Copse Corner, these Radicals are going to be pushing, probably the best part of nearly 100 miles an hour at some points. As there we see Luke Maxwell, who's being the fastest in free practice so far. He's in the mid 1 minute 54s, and he's currently third in the standings. I mean, this is now the second half of the season for those folks wondering. Last time out, it was Jerez, then we had Laguna Seca for week 5, Alton Park, Knock Hill, Spa, and Road America kicked off the season. So really good to see that Silverstone is kicking off the second half of this third season here in 2023, James.
Yeah, it's definitely a special circuit. It's one I am actually visiting tomorrow for a Radical Motorsport event as well. So going up there for their promotional events as well. But obviously, last time out in Jerez, it was Simon Edwards, Luke Maxwell and Graham Brown who took the 1, 2, 3 in the sprint race. And then it was Simon Edwards, Luke Maxwell and Colin Wynne who got his first podium last time out here in Jerez as well in the feature race. So the sprint and feature, 7 laps for the sprint, 12 laps for the feature, and the top 10 reverse for the feature race. Good evening, John McHutchison. Hope you are well. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, young sir, nice and early. Well, midday for me. I'm not going to travel up too early. So yeah, it's going to be an absolutely incredible day up at Silverstone. Get to meet John and Luke as well, and looking forward to that one. Darryl Taylor's going up as well, so it should be a bunch of pictures that we'll get out, I'm sure, on social media as well. Silverstone itself, though, Alex, what are we looking at, do we think, for the main battles? Now, we've been here in TCRs, we've been here in GT3s, we've been here in multiple different series. Every overtake place seems to be really different depending on the cars. Now, we've got these little fast, nippy SR10s here. Where do we think most of the overtakes, if possible, will happen?
Well, I think probably going into Stowe is going to be one of the biggest overtaking advantage points. I mean, if you can throw it up the inside of Copse, which is a corner that Christian Horner says you can't overtake at, well, I call Boulder Dash to that one. I think the thing is you've got to really line it up. I mean, the Radical SR10s are about carrying momentum. They've got downforce. They are slung low to the ground. I mean, even going down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands, that's going to be a prime overtaking spot. But you've got to really be 110% committed on every single overtake. And I think really, if you go well through Copse and you can line it up through Maggots, you're going to get the run through to Beckett's. So there are certain different, as you say, different overtaking possibilities. So as we've got here, Mr. Edwards coming across the start-finish line on the national pit straight heading into Copse Corner, and he was at 125 miles an hour, folks, when he turned that thing in. That is not slow.
No. Anything over 100 miles an hour generally isn't, is it? We're going to see how fast he can get here once more as he's heading down the Hangar Straight at the moment. Let's see what sort of speed he gets. It is on the right-hand side for you, above the box in the corner, so you will be able to look at it. It's topping out round about 158, just hitting 160 there. These guys are definitely flying in these little fast nibble machines.
Yeah, they are. I mean, John McHutchison, I've commentated on the Radical Race Series before in previous seasons, and having seen the likes of Simon Edwards, John McHutchinson go into battle, you know for a fact that there is going to be all-out war here at Silverstone. This circuit, for those that don't know, it's actually it covers both the Buckinghamshire and the Northamptonshire border as well. So part of it is in Northamptonshire, part of it is in Buckinghamshire, and it's 5 miles outside of Towcester, which is the nearby closest town or city to its locality.
Well, there you go. We're not just broadcasters and commentators, we're full of information regarding the circuits we are racing on. We are in qualifying. These guys will have 10 minutes of qualifying to get a time on the board. They're probably going to get a good couple of runs. They've got their 3 laps to do, so let's see how they get on. Welcome in, Paul LeMay. Good evening, guys. Good turnout tonight. Yes, we've got 22 cars here loving this home of British motorsport at Silverstone. What more could we ask for here, Alex? It's going to be some epic racing, I think, as it always has been.
Yeah, I think the drivers are probably going to get maybe 2, maybe 3 laps at a push, because we were running in the high 1 minute 54s, 1 minute 55s throughout the majority of the field through an elongated free practice session, which was 90 minutes. So it's going to be a case now as we see Simon Edwards make his way through around this circuit. I mean, it's just glorious to see how rapid these radicals are, especially the SR10s. I mean, I've commentated on the SR8s before, which were the previous generation. We get this lovely, you can see now that Simon Edwards weaving from side to side just to get a couple of extra degrees of temperature into the tyres and into the brakes as he heads through the right-hander here at Stowe. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to be up there at the sharp end. I mean, I would expect Simon Edwards to be there. Luke Maxwell, I think, is going to be the one that could really shine in the battle for pole position. John McHutchinson, you can't discount the Flying Scotsman himself. We'll see how he gets on as Simon Edwards is really putting the pedal to the metal in the number 52.
Yeah, he currently is at the moment as well. He's coming up through farm into village, the right-hander, of course. He's going to be down into 3rd gear. He's got to get it hooked up on the entry before we come into the loop, that long looping left-hander. And now he's going to be on the gas once more, going here through Aintree. But it is an incredible circuit, right? Everybody knows Silverstone, as you say. I've been there, you've been there, you know, and it's just iconic in every single way. And I've watched Radicals race round here as well, and they were absolutely flying. I believe they were in the SR3s as well, and they were absolutely flying. I was stood literally on the right-hand side there, and they were literally running down here, and it was just a sight to behold when you see them in their open cockpits hurtling down the straight at 150, 100, topping out at 160. It was just absolutely incredible, and I don't think people have that sense of feeling or sense of speed of this circuit until you're actually either there racing around it, either because it just doesn't. For people at home, obviously continually sit at home and watch motorsport, you don't get that same sense of speed when you're watching it out there live.
No, you don't. You get all the visceral sensations, don't you? You get the noise, you can smell the burning rubber, the burning fuel. I mean, looking now at Simon Edwards, he's just put in a 12.79 in the first sector. Luke Maxwell not too far behind him, but has gone fast into sector 2. So Simon Edwards is really coming good in this opening push lap. He's the fastest in 3 of the opening 4 sectors. He's about to come out of the final corner through Club. What's the lap time going to be from Simon Edwards? 1 minute 54.763, but pipping him by 33 thousandths. Luke Maxwell with the 154.730 pips Edwards by next to nothing, and Seth Brown isn't too far behind. Neither is the Portuguese driver Jorge Gonzaga. He's just gone 4th behind James Barry, but Maxwell already saying to Simon Edwards, you might have 3 wins this season, Sunshine, but I want this pole position really badly.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that's the thing. He took a double win last time out at Jerez as well, so it was an incredible run. Let's see what John Maxwell does, John McHutchinson, sorry, as he comes over the line here. What will he do for the Scotsman, and what sort of time will he get on the board currently at the moment? No time.
That might have been an invalidated lap time there for John.
Must have been. He's not on at the moment. But Simon Edwards going purple again. We've got James Child setting a lap as well for the Racing 86 team here. And it just goes to show how close this is currently at the moment. We've got barely a second between first and seventh. First and seventh, really, with Paul Crabb just touching on that second mark at the moment. I think it's going to be closer as well, because the second laps they always get are generally quicker than the first ones. Partly, obviously, tyre warmth and all of the other fancy jazz that goes into driving these cars. But they're going to be close, and I think this could lead to almost the two-pack racing. You'll have that front 6 or 7 that will be battling it out up front, and then you'll have the people behind, the mid-pack, the back-pack, all going at it as well. It could be a very, very interesting race here tonight.
It could be. I mean, like you say, we could have 2 packs of drivers battling away. Luke Maxwell is about to cross the line again, and his lap time, well, it was a 1 minute 54.730, which was his previous lap time. But they are changing quite a lot. Mike Busson goes 12th. James Barry now up into 3rd position on a 1 minute 54.768. 5 1,000ths behind Simon Edwards. Seth Brown, Jorge Gonzaga, Paul Crabb, Sergio Martinez, Michael LeMay, David Rollison, Robert Woodward, they round out the top 10, covered by 1.4 seconds. John McHutchinson is on a flyer. Look at the 3rd and 4th sectors. The Scotsman is absolutely doing a brilliant job, and he goes into pole position with an absolutely mighty 1 minute 54.216. The Scotsman has fired the warning shot across the bow. Yeah. That's a brilliant lap there from John McHutchinson. Absolutely epic.
Yeah, absolutely flying. But look at Simon Edwards. He's got purples in sector 1 and 2 at the moment. He's orange in 3, but he might have offset that against the purples that he had in 1 and 2. He's flying now out of Beckett's. He's going to come for the left-hander through Chapel and then on to that hanger straight before we go down into Stowe here. This qualifying session is getting hot. And it looks like Simon Edwards is on his last time out here, Alex. He's got to do it on this lap. He hasn't got any time left after this. It's got to be a good one.
Yeah, he's just gone through into Stowe Corner before heading down to Vale and then into Club. So he's going to be hard on the brakes all the way down the gearbox. Turn it left. And it's a 90 left. Then it's a 90 right. So you've then got to start applying the power. Modulate the throttle a little bit here coming through Club Corner. So what's the lap time going to be? Is Simon Edwards going to go up? Yes, he is. And he gets to within 0.17. But Luke Maxwell straight away pips him again and goes quicker. That was a 1 minute 54.370 from Luke Maxwell. Simon Edwards puts in a 1 minute 54.385. But you know what the consistency that John McHutchinson had over that flying lap? He set, on his fastest lap, mate, he set exactly the same sector times, 22.27 in sectors 4 and 5. McHutchinson was absolutely driving that Radical SR10 like a man possessed.
Yeah, you can never count him out. He gave himself a mighty task last season as well to take that championship. He had to be up there every single race, and he had to try and win every single race if he can. The man took the championship. He is literally the William Wallace of iRacing. I wouldn't put nothing past him whatsoever. He is just absolutely mighty in this car, and it is incredible. Jamie Bird is on his way round out of Luffield, coming through Woodcote currently as well on that run down into Copse. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not Jamie Bird can improve and get himself up here. Currently, Paul Crabb is in 7th, Colin Wynn sitting in 12th with Mike Bousson in 15th, and then we've got the likes of Jamie Bird. Paul Godden has finished his laps here. Chris Max Davis hasn't got a time on the board, and neither has James Child. So let's see what Bird can do. He's got about 30 seconds. I'm not entirely sure he's going to be able to actually finish this lap off, because I think it's going to be a bit longer than 30 seconds as he's heading down the hanger straight into Stowe and down into Vale. I think he's going to be cutting it. Well, I don't think he's going to get there, Alex, to be honest.
Well, he's rocking a bit of a James Hunt / Jimmy Broadbent livery tribute, especially with regards to, if anyone might remember, Jimmy Broadbent's initial race helmet livery. It was black. and it had those stripes on there, very much like James and Freddie Hunt, as the checkered is out for qualifying, and Jamie Bird does not go any further in qualification. But John McHutchinson with an absolute flyer. That was by nearly that was over half a second. He got pole position.
He did. There is the grid on your screen. John McHutchinson in first, Luke Maxwell second, Simon Edwards third with James Barry in fourth. Then you've got Seth Brown, George Gonzaga, then you've got Paul Crabb, Sergio Dela Cruz in eighth. Then on row 5, you've got David Rolliston and Michael LeMay. Row 6, Robert Woodward, Colin Wynn. And then we go into the guys behind on row 7, Wayne Palmer and Darrell Taylor with Mike Bousson and Jamie Bird. Paul Godden and Phil Jocelyn in 17th and 18th. David Beasley in 19th, Chris Max Davis in 20th, Phil Glover 21st, and James Child in 22nd place. 22 cars going to be rushing down into the first corner here, which is going to be Abbey. It is a fast right-hander. Let's see what these guys are going to be able to do, because it is going to be absolutely epic. So stay tuned, get your drinks, get your popcorn, sit back, relax, because we're going to be underway very, very shortly. We've got about 50 seconds to get the guys onto the grid. We're just waiting for John McHutchinson. There he is there. An absolutely stellar job from him. And here are the lights. 7 laps of SR10 action coming up right about now. We are green, green, green. Maxwell got the jump on McHutchinson there as well. He's going to be looking at trying to get that lead as much as he can. They're going to be running side by side. Maxwell doesn't quite have it at the moment, but it is McHutchinson leading us away currently at the moment as we're on our way up into Frew Village and into the loop. They're 2 wide, 2 deep, 3 deep, even further back with Simon Edwards, James Barry, Seth Brown and Paul Crabb battling it out once more here. But an absolute stellar start there from John McHutchinson. Slow on the getaway, made it up in the second phase, absolutely flying for the Scotsman.
Yeah, and pretty much all the case that everyone has managed to get through this opening sector very, very cleanly. Is McHutchinson going round the outside. Now that's at Brooklands, heading into the right-hander here now at Luffield. Maxwell still trying to get through. Edwards and Barry are swapping positions like nobody's business in the battle for 3rd and 4th. Barry's got the undercut on Edwards. Going through now onto the national pit straight. So McHutchinson's got a lead. It's about a 10th and a half as Maxwell goes into the slipstream heading in towards Copse Corner. So they'll be hitting it around about 120 miles an hour. A little bit of lift coming through, but McHutchinson at the moment still has that lead. Barry in 3rd. Edwards, Brown, Crabb, Gonzaga, Cruz, Rolliston and Woodward round out the top 10. Still very close. The entire field at the moment, James, covered by just under 9.5 seconds.
Yeah, and we've got Simon Edwards here with James Barry battling it out down the hanger straight. We go into Stowe. Then you've got Paul Crabb having a go at Brown. Gonzaga's trying to catch up at the moment. He's got 4 tenths back to Dela Cruz. He's got about half a second to the guys in front here. They're not letting off. They're still racing all the way round. The Irishman and Paul Crabb now having a go at Seth Brown. He's looking around the outside of club, not going to be able to get through this time. He's going to be trying to get him on the exit. He's got a lot better run through that section, and once more here we go over the line and then down into Abbey for this end of this lap. It's going to be Crabb. He is behind Brown and he's just looking like Alex. He's battling away with him there, but he just can't seem to get close enough at the points where he needs to for Paul Crabb.
No, not at the moment. In other news, James Child has gone up from last on the grid to 16th. We've run on board with the Irishman Paul Crabb in the number 64 Team Radline car. He's got Jorge Gonzaga about 3.5 tenths behind. Then it's David Rolliston. Sergio Martinez de la Cruz, and the number 84 has dropped from 8th to 11th position. As we are nearly, or over 1/3 of the way through lap number 2. John McHutchinson has just started to eke out an eventual lead as Darrell Taylor sits in 14th position. He's about a second ahead of Michael LeMay in the 777 car, but at the moment there seems to be a little bit more pack racing in these opening couple of laps. It is only 7 laps for the sprint, folks. Don't forget that the top 10 will be reversed for the 12 lap feature race coming up after this one. But McHutchinson has, as you said, got bogged down through the first part of the start phase. The second phase of it, the rear tyres actually really did have a great purchase onto the circuit. whereas James Child is now battling away with Michael LeMay, and this is for the bottom position in the top 15. So Michael LeMay is going to feel the heat in the kitchen right about now as they're making their way down underneath the Johnny Walker Bridge and heading into Stoke Corner. And this is going to be, oh, there we go. Child up the inside of LeMay into Stoke Corner. That's a neat pass through for 15th place.
Yeah, James Child there, stellar job on Michael LeMay. We've got also Seth Brown here. He's still got the Irishman of Crab tucked up right behind him as they come.
Oh, Wollaston's off. Rolliston and Woodward. Rolliston and Woodward have just dropped down the order like a proverbial stone. Sorry about that, James, but there was a major drama there. Oh, he's locked up and he's gone straight on at Vale. Oh, dearie me, that is not what Robert Woodward would have wanted, and he's had to wait and rejoin, and I think the same might have happened with David Rolliston.
Yeah, he definitely did there, and at the same time we managed to cut away as Paul Crabb did clear Seth Brown. How about Colin Wynne? Took his first podium last week. He's got Mike Bousson behind him with Jamie Bird and Darrell Taylor in that Skittles liveried SR10 that Darrell Taylor does run, and there you can see him in the end of this pack of 4 here. An absolutely stellar job from Colin Wynne. He's just improved, come back from his injury, didn't race at all last season, and is back this season, just getting stronger and stronger in that car is Colin Wynne, and he ended up developing a name as Spin Win last week as well at a ref. So, you know, forgive me for that one, Colin. I do love you, really. But yeah, absolutely amazing drive from Colin Wynne here and currently as well. James Child has got Sergio De La Cruz behind him right about now as they're running side by side as well. They're going to go round the left-hander of 10 through Maggots. Here we go now on the exit here, over the curb as much as they can, and they're going to want to lock it in round Beckett's over the inside curb, and on that run out of Chapel. This could be De La Cruz's moment here, Alex. He's got to look at trying to stay as close as he can to Child at the moment to move up into that 12th spot.
Well, he's 3.5 tenths of a second behind him, James, at the moment, but that's not going to be enough to try and get through as Paul Godden gets through on Phil Jocelyn heading down into Stoke Corner. That was a change for 17th position, and that's just really good to see that you've got Paul Godden right in front of the pair. There's Child and Martinez De La Cruz. Oh, Martinez De La Cruz has dropped, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done it at the same point as everybody else on that exit through Vale into that club chicane. He's done the same there as well. What about Gonzaga? Gonzaga battling away here with trying to get onto the back of Seth Brown and Paul Crabb. Hutchinson has pulled out about 8 tenths, and then they've got a 1.7 seconds gap to Barry and Edwards. Edwards sitting in 4th here currently, but I wouldn't want to count him out as this race goes on either, because I've seen Simon Edwards luck into wins all the way across the season, and he's done an incredible job. At the same time, Seth Brown almost with Paul Crabb. Gonzaga's getting into the background as well, and he's having a good old go here. This little freeway battle, Alex, is starting to get spicy here.
Yeah, and we're about halfway through this 7-lap sprint race, so Brown's really got to stop putting the pressure onto Crabb very quickly as they're going to head through into the right-hander here at Copse Corner. 120 miles an hour around about 4th, 5th gear. And, well, Brown was still keeping the throttle pin at 125 miles an hour. And look how close he is going through into Maggots. Now heading in towards Beckett's. Brown, I think, had Crabb worried ever so slightly because he got the absolute mother of launches coming out of Copse. But then through into Maggots, through into Beckett's. There's a little bit of momentum lost there for Brown, but he's going to stop closing up onto Crabb. And what's even more interesting is that Gonzaga is still keeping pace with them. I'm looking at their lap times. Gonzaga 1 minute 55.6, Seth Brown 156.2, and Paul Crabb 155.6. So I think at the moment Brown now knows he's got to try and quickly get past Crabb in order to put a car between him and Gonzaga. And as we say that, the fastest lap of the race has just been put in on lap number 3, which is a 1 minute 54.384. That is courtesy of Luke Maxwell, and what's more, that's 0.17 off of the pole position lap time set by John McHutchinson in qualifying, and now they're nearly half a second apart. It was 8/10.
And they definitely are. They're absolutely motoring along. Is that front two there? Darrell Taylor was in a nice little battle at one point with Jamie Bird. That time had come down to about 3/10. Taylor on a 1:57.02, Bird on a 1:57 flat, and then you've got James Child on a 1:55. Brown's now making a move up the inside of Brooklands. Is he going to have the inside for Luffield? He's got to keep that car as close to the curb as he can. Hug that inside line, let it drift out onto the curb, and now we go once more down through Woodcote, down into Copse. This is Brown's moment. He's cleared him now, Alex. He's got to be looking at trying to pull away as best he possibly can. Colin Wynn has gone down the order. Unfortunately for him, he's dropped all the way down into 14th, and this is why spin win.
Oh no! Well, it wasn't quite a spin. It was a bit of a clean up on aisle 3 moment there for Colin Wynn, and Paul LeMay was just singing his praises in the YouTube chat, saying great to see Colin in the top 10.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't mention that comment earlier, because then Paul would have said either it's commentator's curse, which I like to call fate of circumstance, or Paul's curse on Colin on that particular thing. But the battle between Barry and Edwards has really hit fever pitch, because Edwards is right in the wheel tracks, right on the coattails of the number 16. Now Edwards is no slouch, neither is Barry, as they come out of the final corner at Club. Now they're going to be heading down in towards Abbey. 145 miles an hour in 5th gear. Little lift through the corner. Barry still keeping Edwards at bay, but Edwards is over a 10.5 quicker on the last lap, so we now know that Simon Edwards wants another podium to add to his tally for this season.
He definitely does. He's trying his absolute hardest as they come out of Aintree now, down on that run into Brooklands. You can see McHutchinson and Maxwell, nothing doing there. We've got Barry and Edwards, nothing doing there either. Paul Crabb, unfortunately for the Irishman, what has he been up to? Unfortunately for him, he is literally on that way out of he's coming into the loop, isn't he? And he's just too many beans through his right foot there, Alex, and unfortunately does manage to spin it. Colin Wynn has crashed. Colin Wynn has terminated the SR10. He looks like he possibly could have done the same thing as Paul Crabb here. If old
He's gone through the loop, and there's a lot of oncoming traffic. Keeps it off of the runoff area, rejoins. So yeah, that was another moment where Colin Wynn will not be happy with. More to the point with regards to himself, because it was self-induced. But we now go back to, this is the battle for, I think, if I remember correctly, this is Jocelyn versus this is
P1, yeah.
This is P1. Oh my god. So McHutchinson is now only well, he's not even that in front of Luke Maxwell, as we've only got one more lap to go, I think. Yes. So yeah, this is going to be crucial. White flag is out. McHutchinson has done everything right so far, but Maxwell is closing in on him. Behind, Barry and Edwards are battling like two petulant children over the last swing of the playground, and they have just set pretty much the same lap time on that penultimate lap. So it's a battle for first and second, battle for third and fourth. Brown versus Gonzaga is about 1.3 seconds to drift for P5, but yeah, it's coming down to the wire for first and third here in race 1.
It definitely is. Now as they head down the Wellington into Brooklands, we're going to have the left-hander, then the looping right-hander of Luffield, as Maxwell closes up onto the back of McHutchinson. He's hugging that inside line. He's going to look at trying to get some form of run out of Luffield, and through Woodcote they go now, just on to that right-hander. Down into turn 1, into Copse, which is 9 on the track. But it is now all down on whether or not Maxwell can get the run out of Maggots and Beckett's, and down through Chapel here on that hanger straight on the final lap. The gap is 3 tenths. Barry and Edwards is 1 tenth. Further back, Charles Bird and Crabb, they're separated by literally half a second. Currently here once more, and Simon Edwards is having a go at Barry as well. This is going to be the deciding moment for Edwards and Barry and Maxwell and McHutchinson. Who is going going to get this? It's going to be Simon Edwards is going to have a go here. He's going to be led on the outside line. Barry's squeezing him a little bit like an orange in a juicer at the moment, I'll tell you that much. Edwards says, I don't care. He's going around the outside.
He's got him. He's got him. He's well and truly got him coming into Vale. Edwards has got to be late on the brakes in comparison with Barry, and he slides it up the inside. And they have nearly a little bit of a rub as Barry gives him a hip check. But out of the final corner, it's going to be... Whoa!
Maxwell McHutchison, what happened to Barry? It was Edwards. Hold on a minute here.
Hang on a second.
Hang on a second.
Now, I'm thinking, what on earth happened there? That is...
I have no idea. This is...
Okay, so this is McHutchison versus Maxwell. Now, this is coming out of... Now, you can see that McHutchison wasn't completely up to speed, was he?
No,
was very...
Is he out of fuel?
That's what I was thinking, because that car's coasting. He's in second gear. He's in second gear, coasting it to the line. So if we keep on board with him... Edwards and Barry come together across the start-finish line. Oh, dearie me. That was...
I don't know.
That was crazy. Well, actually, could it have been a slowdown? Paul LeMay saying, was it a slowdown for John McHutchison? It could have been. It could have been.
Absolutely mental. But here is the Heat 1 race results. Luke Maxwell did take it with Simon Edwards in the end, grabbing second place, and Barry grabbing the third, with John McHutchison in fourth. Then we had Seth Brown, George Gonzaga, Mike Buson, Darrell Taylor, Jamie Bird, Paul Crabb, James Child, Michael LeMay, Wayne Palmer and Paul Godden down in your top 14. David Roddiston 15th, Phil Jocelyn, Sergio Dela Cruz, and then Robert Woodward. Behind that we got Phil Glover, Colin Wynn and Chris Max Davis. We're going to have the Irishman and Paul Crabb will be on pole for race 2. Top 10 reverse here. And we are just now going into a warm-up. We've got a few minutes of this warm-up. We haven't got very long at all before we end up going into that feature race. But I think that's one of the most craziest endings, Alex, I've ever seen to a race in my life.
I was going to say, I feel for James Barry because he was exit stage right hard into the barriers on the start-finish straight there, James. I mean, it was like literally yeet, and the radical is destroyed. You know, it was a proper hard hit. I mean, the thing is, with these radical SR10s, we all know that with downforce-related vehicles, the slightest, and I mean the slightest little graze or touch, and it can spit you out anywhere. And still, for James Barry to be probably sideways and the car being severely damaged coming across the start-finish line, kept his velocity up. So, but yeah, I mean, John McHutchison, whether it's slowdown or a fuel, I mean, I'm sure that we'll find out a little bit later on in post-race interviews anyway. Yeah, we definitely will. Colin Wynn in chat. What utter tosh he's put. Well, you can play good Paul LeMay for that, because he's put great to see Colin in the top 10, and then right after that, mate, you spot it. So me and Alex didn't mention a single thing, so you're not blaming us for that one. We can literally blame Paul LeMay on that one. But here is the grid for race 2, and it is the Irishman of Paul Crabb with Jamie Bird, Darrell Taylor and Mike Buson. Then we got George Gonzaga, Seth Brown, John McHutchison, James Barry, Simon Edwards and Luke Maxwell, James Child, and then Michael LeMay. And then beyond that, you got Wayne Palmer, Paul Godden, David Rolliston, Phil Jocelyn, Sergio Dela Cruz, Robert Woodward, Phil Glover, David Beasley, Colin Wynn, and then Chris Max Davis. So, yeah, you're not blaming us for that one, but you can have a look. No, Paul's already apologised in the chat. Yeah, well, there you go. And then I do love the fact that Colin's put spin win. It may have been mentioned, Colin, but here we go. Up and running, the lights are coming on for the feature race. 12 laps here at Silverstone, and we are up and running and underway, and Paul Crabb is trying the big old defensive here as well on Jamie Bird. There was almost contact going round turn 1, but they're absolutely flying. Crabb manages to hold on from Jamie Bird, from Darrell Taylor.
Gonzaga is all involved as well. Then literally James Barry, John McCutcheon, Michael LeMay looks like he may have gone off track. He's just gone down the order a little bit. Luke Maxwell is plummeting down as well. He's down into 11.
Oh, Joey Bird's off as well.
Rolliston and Woodward all off as well, Alex. What an absolute chaos. Was that Gonzaga?
That was Jorge Gonzaga. Gonzaga's off, big time.
Oh, Gonzaga's off as well. Godden, no, there was contact there as well. I believe that may have been Wayne Palmer or Paul Godden on Jamie Bird. I think, and unfortunately for Bird, he's off. It was Godden. Godden's gone as well. It's just been, how did he end up there? Godden's the other side of the barrier. But Buson's battling. What a chaotic start here, Alex.
First grid top 10s always play havoc. We've had reverse grid full races, and that's even caused more drama here on iRacing. But Paul Crabbe leading the way. John McHutchinson now from, folks, 7th to 2nd. Absolute craziness. That's right, Mr. Paul LeMay, who is keenly watching on. But McHutchinson is up 5 positions. Barry up 3 positions from 8th to 5th. Simon Edwards up from 9th to 6th position. Luke Maxwell from the bottom of the top 10, now 8th and climbing, as we're going to see a little bit of a contretemps here. That was a change between I think that was Brown and Maxwell. This is getting a bit side by side though, coming down in towards Vale and in towards Club. It gets very, very close here, and whoever's on the outside, if they break late, can really have that opportunity. That's Barry at the moment in the 16. And he's kept ahead of Taylor, squeezes the Skittles car to the left-hand side coming out of Club.
Boost on a Crab! Boost on a Crab had made contact. Crab's there off track. He managed to get that sideways. I'm sorry for screaming in your ear roll there, Alex, but unfortunately there was a big old incident down through Abbey of Buson and Crab. And Crab comes out right beside Maxwell.
Oh, that was nearly it. Well, that could have been a redress and a half right there. One to the one side of him, one to the other. And Crab gets mugged by both Maxwell and Brown at the same time. Maxwell was definitely towards the right-hand side at that particular moment, as Buson's down to 3rd place. Barry is in 2nd, Edwards 4th. McHutchinson now has a lead of 1.8 seconds. Now, also, one of the bigger things here now, James, is the fact we've got 5 more additional laps. Everyone was going hell for leather in the first half a lap on this race, and it just was completely crazy. No surprise that after his trip over the wall and into another part of the circuit, Paul Godden is in the pit lane.
No, I'll try and have a look back and see what actually happened to him in a minute when we get this Barry Buson battle settled down a little bit. I think I'm really highly underestimating the fact that we might actually see it settled down. I don't think we're going to. We're going to see Buson slot in behind Barry now. Time's coming down. He's already 2 attempts. He's just broken into the 1. Is he going to be able to have a go down into Stowe? I think he's a little bit far back currently at the moment for Mike Buson. I'm trying to find where Godden initially went off, and this is where here, Alex, where it initially started. I believe there was contact. He goes past Wayne Palmer, he comes into the corner, and he just literally ends up going straight, not stopping the car, and then he ends up there. I'm not quite sure how he then ended up over the other part of the barrier either.
Well, that's right by Brooklands and Luffield, right by the BRDC clubhouse. So, yeah, not exactly a great way. David Beasley is now in the pits as well.
Yeah, that was Godden trying to recover that car there. Buson and now's got Edwards behind him. Barry's opened up a bit of a gap in front. We've got Sergio De La Cruz and Seth Brown are practically running nose to tail as well here. This is a battle for 7th and 8th. De La Cruz is up 10. Brown is down 2. He's not going to let him go. On that run now into Brooklands we go for Brown. Is he going to try and run him around the outside of Luffield? There was almost contact from Crabbe as well. Crabbe's coming up the inside now of Brown. They're going to be running down into Stowe. Crabbe's almost got deja vu with Buson, but the other way round this time as he's coming down now into Copse. Who's going to be able to get this? Is it going to be Brown? Brown's going to lead us into there as well. And Crabbe needs to get a better exit here, Alex. He needs to get closer down into Maggers and Beckett's.
Yeah, Crabbe just pulls to the right-hand side ever so briefly. Then Brown covers that part of the racing line off as they all start making their way through Maggots, Beckett's, and then through the exit. But, oh, Crab was a little bit braver, I think, going through Maggots and Beckett, so he's got a better run coming out of Chapel. And now down the long old run through into Stowe. He's really hooked it up in terms of the slipstream. So Crab is getting closer and closer. He's about 2.5 tenths behind Brown in the number 6 as Colin Wynn and Phil Jocelyn are battling away for 12th position. Colin Wynn up 8 places now into 13th position. And there is Jocelyn to his immediate left-hand side. They're going to go into the next left-hander. This is going to be at Vale and at Club. Wynn still holds on to 13th as Jocelyn just held his ground there going through into Vale Court. But this is going to be close. Wynn nearly touched the rear end of Jocelyn as they go through into Abbey, now into Farm. Great exchange between these two. But now it's going to be into Village and then into the next left-hander here at the loop before going down the Wellington Straight, heading going through Aintree into the Wellington Straight. And yeah, a little bit of loss of momentum there for Colin Wynn.
Yeah, he definitely did. Darrell Taylor, Dela Cruz and Brown still going at it as well through Brooklands. Dela Cruz is on the outside this time of Taylor. He's going to run him round as much as he can. Can he hold it on? Can he get some form of car in beside Taylor at the moment as they're on that run down now? They're going to come out from behind the grandstand side by side. Down into Cops here. Taylor with Dela Cruz with Brown behind that and Crab as well. These guys throwing everything at each other. The kitchen sink, the car, the steering wheel, everything at the same time. And Darrell Taylor is hanging on like a rock climber on the edge of a cliff at the moment to that position here for Taylor, because he is under some pressure at the moment here, Alex.
Yeah, very much the case, but some good spatial awareness by these drivers at the moment. But we're only getting towards the end of lap 4 out of 12. This is a slipstream train heading down into Stoke Corner as Taylor still leads, but De La Cruz looking up the inside into Stoke Corner. Yep, and that allows him to get through. Crab's looking on the inside of Taylor as well on the run down to Vale. Here comes Brown, and it's nearly 3 abreast heading into Vale and into Club, but Crab has got through and mugged all of them at the same time. Absolutely brilliant there from Crab, who's now in the 64, now up into 6th position. Absolutely mighty there from the Irishman.
Now it's got Sturgio. Dela Cruz is not letting him having a go. Paul Crab just took everybody in that train within the space of 2 corners and did an absolute incredible job here. Brown and Taylor still fighting out round the right hander of Village and then the left hander of the loop. Wayne Palmer wants a piece of this as well. It's like they're all queuing up here, ready to go with the Irishman out in front, who's holding the only pint of Guinness in the pub, and everybody else wants it. So Paul Crab, Cruz, Taylor, Brown and Palmer all going for it here to try and get this 6th place. Oh, Darrell Taylor's gone! Taylor's gone!
Big time off. Luckily enough, he didn't hit the barriers. He was very, very lucky, but ended up backwards into the kitty litter.
He did, yeah, but Paul Crab is still not letting off here. I've got a funny feeling there was contact with either Brown or Palmer in that one. Dela Cruz trying to run down alongside Crab now into Cops. Oh, it did work.
He had to back. He didn't have the stones to go through with that one, but he's going to keep it pinned side by side. They're heading down into Maggots. Martinez De La Cruz looks to the inside run. Crab keeps it pinned to the outside. That was neatly done by the Irishman. He just definitely kept his position, stayed on the racing line. In the meantime, we've also got the fastest lap of the race just put in after lap number 4. Luke Maxwell, 1 minute 55.021. He's currently running P4 and he's about 9 tenths off of Simon Edwards, who with James Barry is embroiled in that almighty tussle for 2nd position. The gap was 1.5 tenths. It's now expanded to about 4 tenths at the moment as Phil Jocelyn and Jorge Gonzaga are battling away over P13. And James Child is currently running in 10th place. Colin Wynn halfway up the field now. He's up into P11 as we ride on board with the number 52 of Simon Edwards. And bearing in mind that coming into this round of the season, week 7 out of 12, John McCutchinson was only 3 points behind Simon Edwards coming here to Silverstone here, James. So I think there might be a little bit of a change of foot in how the standings will look after this round, heading into week 8 very, very soon.
Definitely, I'm expecting them to be a little bit swapped in the order. I think McHutchinson should take the lead back from Edwards. Edwards is trying to get past Barry here. We can see how close he's hard he's trying. He's seeing if he can get him, where he can get him. He's trying to pick up the draft now. Down into Cops. Is he going to be looking at making a move? He's going to lift. I think he did. He set the car up. He's going to be trying to get that run out of Maggotts and Beckett's. Here currently he's got to stay as close as he can. They've got to sweep through here. Straight over to the curbs. Barry on the touching the brake. Then we're going to go around the left-hander. Then we've got the right-hander. We've got to take that curb on the inside here to try and get the exit out onto Chapel now. And now it's all about whether or not Edwards can close down. The one man that is closing down is this man right behind Edwards. Maxwell at the moment is looking up the inside. Down into Stowe. Is he going to send it in deep enough? He doesn't this time around here, Alex. But was that Maxwell's opportunity to have a go?
If he'd have stayed in the slipstream a little bit longer, I think he might have had a better chance going into Stowe Corner. Maybe brakes a little bit later than Simon Edwards. So that's just one of maybe a handful of opportunities that Luke Maxwell has to get himself up into the top 3. Let's not forget that he did actually win the opening race, as John McHutchinson now responds with the fastest lap out of anybody. His lead is now 4.4 seconds, and he's just put in a 1:55.018. Whereas Edwards still trying to put the frighteners onto Barry. Maxwell is there waiting in the wings. Is they're going to be heading into Village. Oh, that was very, very close there. Luke Maxwell very, very brave on the brakes indeed. As they go through into the loop, he's going to get a tighter apex. Probably get a better run coming out of Aintree and down onto the Wellington Straight heading towards Brooklands. But at this particular moment, Edwards is trying everything in the playbook, and Barry is saying, no, you do not, Sunshine, you are not getting past.
Yeah, but the 5-time champion of Simon Edwards, I would not put it past him. I was talking in the first race, Alex, he lucked into positions, and he lucked into second place in that initial sprint here this evening. So I'm not going to put anything past Simon Edwards. If he was a leprechaun, I'd be rubbing his head by now, because he's just incredibly lucky on the racetrack at certain points here. But he does drive exceptionally well. His luck doesn't take away from his driving skills. This man is as talented as they come in these SR10s, and Barry is, well, he's feeling the pressure at the moment, and this battle is getting hotter and spicier than a Vindaloo in a curry house. I can tell you that much here as we're coming into what is 5 laps remaining.
Yeah, I think it's more a case that Edwards is trying to put the frighteners onto Barry, but now Edwards is pulling alongside in towards Stowe Corner. He's got through before they've even made the apex. So there was a lot more momentum carry, especially with the slipstream there for Simon Edwards. So that's what made it count. And now Maxwell has got to try and do the same thing if he wants to get past James Barry. But from that perspective, Simon Edwards was not hurrying into a rushed move. He wanted to just make sure that, okay, if it takes me a lap or two to get past him, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to read what the driver in front is doing and accordingly adapt my driving to respond to see where can I make that move. And as I said earlier on in the build-up to qualifying, I said Stowe Corner was one of the prime overtaking opportunities. Simon Edwards has proved that 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Palmer is still fighting it out here with, this is still Brown, Dela Cruz, Crab, Palmer and Child now, all locked up here. This is just going to be an incredible battle with Brown, with Dela Cruz, with Crab, with Palmer and Child as they're going into what will be 4 laps remaining. This is just going to be incredible. There's been racing all the way through the pack. There's still racing. You can see Maxwell and Barry are practically nearly side by side on that run down into Cops currently at the moment. Barry is still in that 3rd place. Edwards opened up 7/10. Maxwell's going to need to clear Barry here. He's going to need to get past, otherwise Edwards is going to be like a cowboy on a horse here, mate. He's going to be riding off into the sunset saying, see you later, Luke, and Luke needs to clear Barry as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's like the Lone Ranger without Tonto, very much the case there for Barry, well, for Maxwell, because that's what he's going to need to do. He's going to need to get past Barry very, very quickly indeed. That gap is closing. closing still. Again, just like we saw with Maxwell versus Edwards a couple of laps ago, Maxwell was not close enough, whereas Edwards was close enough and was gathering speed coming out of Chapel and going down the Hangar straight. If you can get the best run coming out of there, if you are, let's say, a car length behind, that's when the slipstream's really going to kick in and you're going to get that additional boost. McHutchinson puts in a 154.9 as the fastest lap. His lead now stretches to close to 5 seconds. It is now 5 seconds over Simon Edwards. So John McHutchinson, fourth in the opening race and looking to get the win here in the feature in race 2. But Maxwell again just trying to force, well, either try and do one of two things. Neatly get past James Barry going down into Stowe Corner, or force the number 16 into an uncharacteristic, unforced error. And sometimes that can happen.
Oh, Maxwell is going to try now around the outside. He sweeps round past Barry there. I don't know if Barry lifted and let him through. It looked a little bit like that in my eyes. So Maxwell's now got to set after Simon Edwards. What is going on down here with Wayne Palmer side by side with Crabb at the moment round the right hander of Luffield, and these guys have not left each other alone. I tell you that all the way through this they have been at each other. These 5 cars are Brown, Dela Cruz, Crabb, Palmer and now Child joining into the mix as well. He wants some as these guys come through. Now down into Cops they go, coming into Maggers and Beckett's. Palmer runs a little bit wide. That's going to bring Child into this one all the way through. Child now looking around the outside of Palmer. They're going to try and take it too wide. They do manage it this time. Can Child now get that cutback? He's got that very wide line out of Beckett's and out of Chapel. He's going to try and get onto the back of Palmer now. The cap is coming down. It's 2 tenths. It's 1 tenth. He's pulled over to the other side. Bit of a strange move there, Alex. I thought he would have been set in behind him a lot longer.
Well, sometimes being in the dirty air doesn't always help you, especially going down the Hangar straight and into Stowe Corner. It might have just been the case that he thought, well, I'll get some clear air. That can sometimes help in terms of carrying momentum. And now he's going to try and go for the crisscross here through Vale into Club. And again, James Child not able to get through. I think he's just got to be, it's got to be a bit more, well, he'll have to have some patience, but his patience might be running thin because we're fast running out of laps here, JP.
Yeah, we definitely are. We have not got long to go. Neither does Dela Cruz have long to hold on for. I'm almost expecting the ace Irishman of Paul Crabb to be making a move here. And I'm not going to lie, Paul Crabb is looking spicy. He's down 7 places, hasn't driven for a good few weeks at the moment. This is basically his first one back in about 4 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little bit longer on that. And he's now here in 8th place, so he's doing an absolutely stellar job. Is Crabb for him, but he's got to be able to get a little bit more. He's only done 1 race actually this season, so this will be his 2nd one here, so he's just getting up to speed back in the SR10 for the Irishman, and I'm sure he's not going to let this go easy. What about Child and Palmer? They're still battling it out as they come round through into Maggers and Beckett's. We've seen this already from these two, Alex, and they're again also running out of time very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's just about how you can try and just sort of make the best of a difficult situation, James, because we know that consistency does win a championship, but you've got to be consistently at the sharp end of the field. Wins, podiums, top 5s, that's going to be crucial. Whereas towards like the bottom part of the top 10, you know, if James Child is looking to factor into that bottom part of the top 10 come the end of the season, that's going to be quite crucial to how things play out for him. Yeah, it was. And to be completely honest, it just goes to show how quickly things can turn on their head. I mean, Colin Wynn having 2 off-track excursions in the opening race, but it's been a very, very steady drive for the number 4. Yeah, he would love to be in 11th position come the end of this race, but Jorge Gonzaga, the Portuguese driver, is going to make sure that that does not quite happen. He has. It's just like a primed racehorse with the blinkers on. He's not had to look back. He's not had to worry. He's just thought, right, okay, I'll get myself to the sharp end of the field. And if everything kicks off, which it very rightly did within the first 3/4 of the opening lap, McCutchinson was in the right place at the right time. And no one has been able to stop him, truth be told. Yeah, great job by Simon Edwards. 2 second-place finishes in as many races, and what's more, sets the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 54.728 by the number 52. Luke Maxwell, a win in the first race and 3rd in race number 2. James Barry, Mike Buson, Seth Brown, Sergio Martinez de la Cruz with the most positions gained tonight. Finishes in 7th as we've got Phil Jocelyn trying to battle away with Dave Rolliston. And then just behind we've got Chris Max Davis versus Michael LeMay. Nearly a bit of a hip check between the pair, but it looks like Davies. Oh, Davies and LeMay both go into the barriers on the right-hand side of the start-finish straight as they cross for the checkered. Wow. Oh, my goodness me.
That was incredible from Michael LeMay and Chris Max Davis there for the final position. Wow, I think you've got to admit that has just been an incredible race, what we have just witnessed. But here are the results. John McCutchinson in first place, Simon Edwards in second, Luke Maxwell third, James Barry in fourth with Mike Buson in fifth, Seth Brown sixth, Sergio De La Cruz in seventh, Paul Crabb in eighth, Wayne Palmer ninth, James Child 10th, then George Gonzaga in 11th, Colin Wynn in 12th, David Rolliston in 13th, Phil Jocelyn 14th, Darrell Taylor 15th, Michael LeMay and Chris Max Davis literally coming over the line sideways. Absolutely incredible end with David Beasley, Phil Glover, Jamie Bird, Robert Woodward, and then Paul Godden. And I can only but say, Alex, for us here, that was just mental.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah.
That I say to the audience at home. Absolutely brilliant. You know what? I've missed commentating on Radicals and to get the opportunity to jump in. Yeah, you and O'Leary, get the Factor 50 out. You're going to need it in Riyadh, mate.
Yeah, I believe he probably has, to be fair.
He probably has. Maybe the additional factor 50 that's needed on top of that as well. But yeah, Radical Racing, always exciting. We've had some great battles. It doesn't matter whether it's at the sharp end of the grid or the middle of the grid or the bottom of the grid. You know, it's just been absolutely awesome. But I think we've got some interviews we need to get on with. Shall I crack on with the first one? Shall I, mate?
If you want to, mate. If you feel like you
well, let's bring in the man who's won the feature race and also finished 4th. The man that did put it on pole position. Let's bring in John McHutchinson.
Oh, sneaky.
I did it. You see, had to get in with that one. But John, firstly, congrats on the pole position for the sprint race. Feature race, a very, very convincing win by nearly 5.5 seconds. But I want to ask, what happened in the sprint race? Because was it a slowdown or was the car running out of fuel?
John? Oh, it's doing that thing again where it mutes them. Hold on, Alex. We might have to hop down into the waiting room here. My screen might go blank for you, but we'll pull. Let's see. Here, it's doing that thing again. Hold on. Right, we'll hop down into here. Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear us now. Alex, right, take it away with John.
Okay, John. Firstly, congratulations with pole position for the sprint race tonight and a win in the feature race. But what happened in the latter stages? Was it a slowdown penalty whilst you were leading, or was it a lack of fuel?
Yeah, lack of fuel. Silly mistake. I was just speaking to Luke about it after the race there, and I'd done 7 laps on 17.5 litres before, and no problem. But I forgot about the pit entry.
Oh.
You know, so that longer lap than the first one just made me run out of fuel.
But still, nevertheless, a pretty good day, a pretty good evening in the office, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was okay. Could have been better, should have been better, but can't complain at that. What was that, 4th in the first race?
Yeah.
Yeah, fourth in the first race, and then
first. So
yeah,
it's okay.
But I'll have to say this though: an absolute demolishing of the rest of the opposition in qualifying. You beat Luke Maxwell by about half a second in your fastest flying lap. Where on earth did that spring from?
I don't think it was half a second. I think it was only a 10th or so, was it not? It wasn't that much. It was close. And in the race, look, cracking pace in the race. You know, he put the pressure on the whole race, the first race. The second race, I think I just got a gap on them all. And, you know, just held the gap.
Yeah, they get a bit crazy in the first half of the lap on the opening on the opener, and you literally we looked, and about halfway through lap 1, you're already up to second.
Yeah, it's good through the loop and in the village. It's always sketchy, and I managed to keep it clean and get a good run out onto the back straight. I don't know what happened to George. I hope it wasn't me because I didn't get any contact. I hope he just lost it himself. If it was my fault, I apologise. But like I say, there was no contact. But it's always the same coming through the back. Just keep it clean.
Well, John, well done tonight, and congrats, and good luck for week 8.
Thanks, Alec. Cheers, pal.
Well, there you go. That was John McHutchinson. I'm going to pop you up into the race control booth, John, while we finish off these interviews here as well. But I tell you what, I'm going to have a chat with Mr. Luke Maxwell. Luke, good evening to you, sir. Took the victory in the sprint race, 3rd in the feature. Can't ask for more than that, surely.
No, I think that's quite a good result, to be fair. Yeah, I'd, a bit lucky in the feature with the sprint with John running out of fuel there, but yeah, it was good. It was a good race. I kind of had some pace on him a little bit towards the end, but I messed up the last lap anyway. I wasn't going to get close to. I should have taken a chance. I think coming into Cops was it. I probably had a run there, but I just thought wait another lap. But yeah, messed it up. Yeah, cracking pace today. You could tell by his quali lap that was a bit of a stonker.
Yeah, but then that's the thing about being on track, isn't it? When we talk about you got to win, you had to be in that moment to capitalise on the fact that John ran out of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought, well, I'll stick behind him. Let's get on and try and get a gap to the rest of it, and then we could battle it out, near the end. But the second race there, I've had a few bad runs, I think, in the feature races. So I was really cautious, kind of lap 1. I knew it would be tricky because the the car with cold tyres there, certainly with the setup I had, was lethal lap one. So I thought, well, let's just go really easy, see where we end up. But it was tough as well with the dirty air, trying to follow Simon and was it James there? Yeah, really, really tough, really tough.
Yeah, but mate, at the end of the day, a first and a third, that's just got to be probably one of the best that you can ask for, isn't it, going into such an iconic circuit like Silverstone?
Yeah, it's a cracking place. I love racing around there. So, yeah, more than happy with that. Can't complain at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, thanks so much for joining us there, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before I let you leave and see you tomorrow?
Give a shout out to the guys at Radical Motorsports for the invite tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Well, Luke, I shall catch up with you tomorrow there, buddy. But take care for now.
Cheers, guys. Yeah.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye. Well, there you go, Alex. Our very happy Luke Maxwell there. We've got Simon Edwards in the booth for you.
Yeah, Simon. A very, very good, consistent run there from yourself. 2 second places in the sprint and the feature. It was tough out there, though, wasn't it?
It was. The first race was cracking. I really enjoyed that. I was sort of slightly annoyed that James would go in front of me because I knew he didn't have the top two's pace. But in the end, it was a really good race. So I really enjoyed that. And it was a good close finish there.
The first race was, I think, myself and James were confused with what the hell was going on because Luke crossed the line. We then saw that John ran out of fuel, and then we see you and
James Barry.
And James Barry come into shot, and then I think it was James that ended up in the wall on the right-hand side. What was there a little bit of a touch between you two coming out of club?
Tiny, but we'd already crossed the line, so I was on the curb, and it just spat me slightly to the right in the curb, and it just caught him wrong at the front end and just spat him into. But we'd already crossed the line by then. The line's so close to the finish, so. I just felt a touch to the rear end of my car, and then I just saw big smoke and pile. But we'd already crossed, so I didn't feel guilty.
But also, this means that going into next week, everything's been really tight up at the top of the standings. John was only 3 points behind you coming into this round here at Silverstone, and now Luke with his first and third place. Anything's possible, isn't it, in the next 5 weeks?
It is. We should have just about caught up on all our holidays, with the when we've had holidays and we've had drop rounds. So I think we're all caught up now. So the points will start to mean more now, if you know what I mean. So I think we'll all equalise now. So Luke will catch up a lot now, and I think John might creep ahead of me again with his results.
Anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I'm going to give a shout out to James there because I really enjoyed that. We were running right next to each other without touching until that very end, but it was all over by then. So I'm going to give a shout out to James for that. Great racing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Simon. All the very best of luck for next week.
Thank you.
Right, now I get to have a chat with Mr. Paul Godden, of course, the primary sponsor here this evening for Sim Stickers. You can go and check them out, links down in the description below. Paul, welcome in. How are you?
Yeah, evening, James. Yeah, no, I'm not too bad.
Tell us about your evening, mate. It looked very eventful.
Yeah, it was. I went into race one and I had no pace at all tonight, and I was suffering from a little bit of backache and stuff like that, and just couldn't get comfortable. And then I found myself in qualifying actually setting quite a decent pace because the pace tonight was amazing. I was looking down the list thinking, I'm not doing that well, and then I looked up and I was like, I'm actually where I should be, and with the people I know the pace I'm around. And had a really great race with Phil in the first race, nice and clean, a few overtakes and stuff, was doing well. And then in race two, I got a cracking start, made a couple of places up, and then coming down, I think it's a hanger straight, I'm not sure what it's called. I went in between Wayne, my teammate, and also Luke Maxwell. They both got checked up on the corner before, and I was too busy watching where they were, missed my braking point, braked, and I thought, I'm not going to make this. And I could see a gap in front of Seth, and I thought, I can make that gap and just run wide. And then all of a sudden, I didn't see poor old James on the outside. he was hidden behind Seth's car and he was already coming across, and I had nowhere to go. And unfortunately, I crashed into James and just bounced into the barrier, and that was it. And I was really annoyed with myself, so I was like, rather than drive around and cause any more chaos, I just pull it in the pits, watch the replay back and see what I actually done, and apologise to the two drivers. So it was it's a shame, because I was really looking forward to that race too. But these things happen sometimes, and and James isn't mad at me too much, so that's not too bad.
It's good that he's not mad at you, I think, at the end of the day. Going forward, though, Paul, we're going into Sebring. Now, the bumps is going to be interesting here in this SR10, I think. Have you done much around here in the SR10 at Sebring?
Not really, no. I've done a lot around Sebring with lots of different cars, but not with the SR10. It's all very new to me this season, so I think I'm going to have quite a bit of practice on the setup on that and try and find something comfortable, because I'm a driver that if I get some good results in this championship, I have to have a car that's comfortable under me. It hasn't got to be ultra fast. It just has to be comfortable, and I can get in it and make sure that I can place it where I want to and not make silly mistakes. So yeah, I really need to work on the setup for next week round there, because Sebring can bite you at any moment. But I think the racing's going to be great round there, actually. I mean, we had a great turnout tonight with drivers, so if we get this many again next week, it's going to be a cracking event.
Yeah, it definitely will be there. We just watched your start, actually. We've just seen 4 wide behind you, and we've seen Robert Woodward and David Rolliston, and we're just watching George Gonzaga go across sideways across the track as well. So your start must have been very eventful going on all around you there as well. But Paul, thank you so much for jumping into the booth and having a chat with myself. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to yourself and Alex for doing a great job on the commentary, and also admin team from the Radical Race Series for putting on such a great event, because we haven't got a massive number of drivers, but the quality of drivers we've got and the friendliness in the championship is next to none, and it's amazing to be part of as a driver and also as a series sponsor. And also with that, I'd like to shout out to all the drivers, because again, without them, it wouldn't be the series it is, and I just love racing in this series. I wish I was a little bit quicker, but I'm working on it and set my little goals each week, and hopefully I can be quicker and quicker as the season goes on.
Well, I hate to tell you, we just watched your incident as well, so apologies for that one. But Paul, thank you so much for joining us here, buddy, and we look forward to having a chat with you as the season goes on.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers, guys.
Take care. All right, well, there you go, Alex. That was the full set of interviews here this evening. We've heard about Paul Godden and his incidents. We've heard from John, Simon and Luke. And, well, I suppose the only person I haven't heard from is for yourself. What did you think of that this evening?
Well, I have to say, big shout out to Paul Godden there for saying how friendly it is behind the scenes at the Radical Race Series, between all the competitors. And what I like about the fact is when a driver is completely honest, and also the fact that through being one of the sponsors through Sim Stickers, big shout out to them as well, for just saying, I kind of thought I was where I was going to be, and that just showcases how a series like this can be all-encompassing. To seeing all the people like Simon Edwards, like John McCutchinson, being at the sharp end, Luke Maxwell, and then someone like Paul to come along and give it a go. And that's what a lot of people say, well, sim racing is just like, it's a computer game. It's more than just a computer game. For those uninitiated out there, if you've got a steering wheel, you've got a rig, you've got a PC, you've got iRacing, give it a shot. There's no harm in trying, and you'll only learn from your mistakes.
This is absolutely true, and Paul Godden is learning, and he's doing an excellent job every single week. So much big shout out to Paul. Right, guys, that wraps up tonight's broadcast as well. I think you can all admit we have just seen some absolute incredible racing here at Silverstone with his Radical Race Series SR10. We will see you next week at Sebring, because it's going to be incredible there as well. But don't forget, we have have got a lot more racing coming up on Saturday. Now we've got the VWSC historic from Dijon. The SR4S F3 season kicks off as well, and there's more on Sunday with the IGP, the Radical Sim Racing returns, and the Tanzo GR86 League. So a lot to get your teeth into here. For now, guys, from myself and Mr. Alex Goldschmidt up here in the booth, you all take care. Have a great week, and you never know, I might see you on the track sometime. Good night.
Good night.